And welcome back as we count down our 12 days to Santa Clara here on the FinalScore.tv. Dick Fain from 93.3 KJRFM, joined by Ring of Honor running back Curt Warner of the Seattle Seahawks as we celebrate the Seahawks NFC Championship game. And Curt, let's talk about chemistry and let's talk about teammates and what it means to be a good teammate and being able to just come together as a team, because I'm sure, you haven't been on a lot of bad teams. Most of the teams you played on were really, really good. But I can imagine that those teams that struggle have some fractures that your Seahawk teams did not have, that certainly this Seahawk team does not have. How does that come about? How do you keep from fracturing as a team and just come together and make sure that the team is greater than the sum of the parts, which is certainly the case with this year's Seahawk team?
Well, I think that's the most important thing, and I'll just sum it up and say this. It's more like having a blind faith that you trust in your guys to do their job, right? The ball is snapped, and the tackle has a responsibility, the guard has a responsibility, the center has a responsibility. Everybody has a responsibility to do their job. And yes, it's not perfect. It's not perfection, but if I can get 4.5 yards a carry, you know what? I'm doing a part of what I'm supposed to do. If I pick up the linebacker coming up the field on a blitz, you know what? I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. We all have a responsibility. And, the game, what you see and what they call in the huddle is a little bit different than when you have to run the play, because everything changes. So it's just a matter of doing it over and over and over and over. How many times have you run that play? Probably 1,000 times. I still know the plays. I can still run Seahawks offense. I can run it. Now, I wouldn't run it very effectively, but I can still run it. I remember it. So when you've done it that much and that many times, you don't forget. So during the game, it becomes almost you're playing the game. You're responding. You have to respond to what's going on. You have to make your checks. You have to do something that written up on the board may not be the exact thing. So it's not an exact game, is what I'm trying to say. Right, it's not exact, and you have to make adjustments accordingly. And sometimes you make the right adjustment, and sometimes you don't. And that's the other team has the ability to do that as well.
Every player makes physical mistakes. We saw occasionally Dave Craig would throw a backward pass and slip out of his hands. Every once in a while, Deep Heat Turner would drop a wide open touchdown pass. Every once in a while, believe it or not, number 28 would fumble the ball. At some point. It would happen.
Now you made it personal, so let's not go down that road. I'd never fumble.
All right. Fair enough. Curt Warner never fumbled the football. But
I never held anybody either. There's no holding.
That's right.
Never held anybody. So I didn't fumble.
But
I didn't hold anybody.
My point is those physical mistakes are probably easier for teammates to take and to deal with than the mental mistakes. And we saw a huge mental mistake. We saw a huge emotional mistake on Sunday. And it almost cost the Seahawks the NFC Championship game.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with a situation like that where you're telling the guy, hey, that is inexcusable, this can't happen, and yet it doesn't escalate to where it tears the team down? Love you, but we can't have that happen.
So here's what happens. You have that emotional outburst. Guys get a little heated. And then we need to move on to the next play. And we've all done it. We've had arguments inside the huddle, in that 30-second clock. I've been in that huddle when we've done that. Down in Dallas, having a little brawl in the huddle. And they started calling each other names and started using some words that I cannot use, in public. And I was just like, I think we're ready to play. It's like, okay, nobody stepped in and said, okay, you guys, we let it go. And then, boom, we were done. 30 seconds later, we snapped the ball. Everybody's forgotten it. So, yes, you can have those moments where you go over there and talk to somebody. But it's more important that you let it go. You forgive. You move on. And that's just how the game is played. they're friends before the game, we're friends during the game, and you're friends after the game. So the teams that can just move on to the next play, because every play is important. This is what Paterno used to tell us, but you're going to have 4, 5, 6, 7 plays during the game that it's going to make a difference. It's going to be a fumble, right? It's going to be a big play down the field. They just use different terminology with what they call it today, the chunk play or something of that nature. But you got to learn to move on, and you got to if it happens, then you got to respond to it and pick yourself up and get back at it.
Well, and also I would assume, and correct me if I'm wrong, I would assume there's a much better chance that Seahawk team do not make that mistake in the Super Bowl because of what happened on Sunday.
Coach Paterno used to tell us, poise under pressure. You got to keep your poise under pressure. You can't let something like that take the team down completely. Yeah, in the game, there are going to be ups. There's momentum. They call that, the big mo, where you can't see it, but I'm telling you, it's there. You cannot see momentum, but momentum is there. You know when it's shifting. You got to go. We got to do something. We got to shut this down. We got to come up with a chunk play somewhere and shut this crowd down and shut them down. And so that's it. It's the beauty of the game, is that it's every play is one step closer to whether or not you're going to win or going to lose. But man, getting to the finish line is where you want to get to. And the journey it's a great journey to go through. So
it has been a great journey. Let's see if the Seahawks can get to that finish line with a win over New England on Sunday. Every day during the countdown, the FinalScore.tv will give away a Curt Warner autographed player card on the final day, the day of the big game. One lucky person will win a Curt Warner autographed football. For your chance to win, it's very easy. Simply click on the 12's entry form located on the remote control on the FinalScore.tv. All brought to you by the FinalScore.tv, your home for complete high school basketball playoff coverage all the way to the state tournament. Visit the FinalScore.tv every day to find schedules and locations of games throughout the state. For Curt Warner, Seahawks legend, Dick Fain saying so long. We'll talk to you tomorrow. This has been a presentation of the FinalScore.tv.